Spartan soldiers marched dozens of miles, fought in brutal hand-to-hand combat, and carried bodies that looked like they were carved from stone. They had no barbells, no gym memberships, no machines, and yet modern athletes, with access to every piece of equipment ever invented, can barely match their functional strength and physical conditioning. So what did they know that we don't? Here's something that's going to sound completely wrong at first. The exercises most people consider the gold standard of muscle building, barbell back squats, bench press, bent over rows, are not the most effective muscle builders, and they're quietly destroying your joints in the process. The Spartans built elite physiques through movements that loaded muscle without grinding joints, and the 6 exercises in this video follow that exact same principle. No barbells, no gym required, just 6 movements that produce more muscle tension, trigger more growth, and create less joint damage than almost any conventional exercise. And here's the part that sounds impossible. The science behind why they work better is the same reason your favorite gym exercises are holding you back. I'll explain exactly what that means. But first, do you know which of these 6 exercises research shows builds more tricep muscle than the close grip bench press? You'll find out soon enough. Stay with me. Think about what a heavy barbell back squat actually does to your body. You're loading several hundred pounds directly onto your spine, compressing your lumbar discs rep after rep, year after year. The squat feels productive because it's hard, but hard and effective aren't the same thing. The same goes for bench press. Shoulder blades pinned against the bench, rotator cuffs grinding through a restricted range of motion, anterior capsule under load in the worst possible position. Most people who've trained for a decade have the joint damage to prove it. Now here's what the research actually shows about building muscle. The primary driver of hypertrophy isn't the load on the bar, it's muscular tension. Specifically tension through a full range of motion with emphasis on the lengthened position. And the movements that do that best, they don't require a single plate. The first one most people already know, but almost nobody understands why it works as well as it does. Pull-ups are not just a back exercise. When you do them correctly, your lats, upper back, rear delts, biceps, forearms, and core are all forced to fire together to move your entire body weight through space. That coordinated full body recruitment is something a lat pull-down machine simply cannot replicate. And here's why that matters. With a lat pull-down, the machine dictates the path. Stabilizers disengage. Your spine gets loaded in a fixed position. With a pull-up, every muscle responsible for the movement has to work at full capacity simultaneously. Research consistently shows that people who can perform 10 or more pull-ups carry significantly more upper body muscle mass than those who train primarily on machines. The pull-up isn't producing those results by accident. Grip slightly wider than shoulder width, arms fully extended. Pull your chest to the bar, not your chin. Pause at the top. Lower with complete control over 5 seconds. No kipping, no momentum. If you can't do one yet, start with dead hangs and slow negatives. Jump to the top position and resist gravity on the way down. Once you hit 10 clean reps, add a weighted vest. That progressive overload is where serious mass comes from. Pull-ups handle vertical pulling, but there's a second pulling pattern that most programs almost completely ignore. And ignoring it is why so many people end up with rounded shoulders and chronic shoulder pain. Inverted rows train horizontal pulling, your mid-back, traps, rear delts, and rhomboids through a full range of motion. Think about the average training week. Push-ups, dips, overhead press, all pushing. When pulling work is an afterthought, the muscles that hold your shoulders back weaken, your posture collapses forward, and eventually something tears. Inverted rows fix this, with zero spinal compression. Compare that to the bent over barbell row, where you're holding heavy weight in a hinged position that puts enormous stress on your lumbar spine. One poor rep and you're done for weeks. Inverted rows give you all the thickness building stimulus of rowing with none of that structural risk. Find something to hold onto at roughly waist height. A sturdy table, equalizer bars, suspension straps, and even the bedsheet method all work. Grip just outside shoulder width, body in a rigid straight line from head to heel. Pull your chest to the bar, squeeze your shoulder blades hard together at the top, and lower with control. Raise the bar to make it easier, lower it to increase difficulty. Elevate your feet on a box for an advanced progression. 3 sets of 8 to 12, with a 1-second hold at the top of every rep. Remember that exercise I mentioned at the start? The one that builds more tricep muscle than the close grip bench press? This is it. Studies comparing dips to close grip bench press have found equal or greater tricep activation with better long-term shoulder outcomes. And yet dips have a reputation for being dangerous. That reputation comes entirely from people doing them wrong. And here's the one thing that separates safe dips from damaging ones. Your shoulder blades must stay pulled down and back throughout the entire movement. The moment they shrug up toward your ears, impingement follows. Keep them set, lean slightly forward to shift emphasis toward your chest, and lower yourself until your upper arms reach parallel with the ground. Pause 1 second at the bottom. Press back up explosively. Not ready for bar dips? Start with bench dips to build baseline pressing strength. Hands gripping the edge of a bench, lower to 90 degrees. Press back up. Once you're hitting 15 to 20 clean bench dips, transition to parallel bars. When you can do 12 to 15 clean bar dips, add weight with a vest or belt and keep overloading. The chest, shoulder, and tricep development from weighted dips is some of the most functional upper body mass you can build, because you're pressing your entire body weight through a full range of motion with no external spinal loading whatsoever. If you're finding value in this, do me a favor and hit subscribe. I've got more unconventional training methods coming that'll change how you think about building strength. Now here's one most people get completely wrong. Standard push-ups are a solid movement, but the moment you can do 20 clean reps, they've stopped building meaningful muscle. Most people respond by doing more reps, adding a little tempo work, and wondering why their chest isn't growing. The problem isn't the volume, it's the range of motion and the loading angle. Elevating your feet on a bench or box does two things simultaneously. First, it shifts the load toward your upper chest and anterior deltoids, the regions that create the full, three-dimensional look most people are training toward. Second, it increases the total percentage of your body weight that your muscles have to move with every single rep. But here's the detail that actually explains the superior muscle growth. With your feet elevated and your hands on the floor, you're moving through a greater range of motion, with your chest getting a deep stretch at the bottom under load. Research into training muscles in their lengthened position consistently shows superior hypertrophy compared to shortened range training. In some studies, 50 to 100% more growth. You're not just making the push-up harder, you're fundamentally changing where the tension is being applied. Feet on a box at 18 to 24 inches. Hands on the floor, just outside shoulder width. Body completely rigid. No sagging hips, no piking at the waist. Lower your chest to the ground slowly over 3 to 4 seconds, then press back up with control. 3 sets of 8 to 12. Once you hit 15 clean reps at one elevation, raise the feet higher or add a weighted vest. Your shoulder blades move freely throughout, unlike bench pressing where they're pinned, which protects your rotator cuffs long term while you build. You might have been wondering when a leg exercise was coming. Here it is. And if you've never done these seriously, prepare to have your assumptions about lower body training completely dismantled. The Bulgarian split squat builds more quad and glute muscle than a barbell back squat, with zero axial load on your spine. That's not an opinion. Research comparing single leg training to bilateral movements consistently shows equivalent or superior muscle activation with significantly less joint stress. Every rep of a back squat compresses your spine with the full weight of the bar. Do that for years, and those forces accumulate in your lumbar discs, your knees, your hips. The Bulgarian split squat loads each leg independently through a massive range of motion, deep quad stretch, full glute activation, while your spine stays completely out of the equation. Stand 2 feet in front of a bench or box, back foot elevated on the surface with laces down. Lower your back knee toward the floor slowly, feeling a deep stretch through your rear hip flexor and a serious burn through your front quad. Your front shin should stay roughly vertical. Drive through your front heel to stand back up. Start with body weight. It will be harder than you expect. Then progress to dumbbells at your sides or a weighted vest. 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps per leg. This exercise will expose every weakness in your unilateral strength and mobility. Fix those weaknesses and you'll build legs that look and perform at a different level entirely. Now before we get to the final exercise, I want to mention something. Everything in this video is pulled from the same principles I built my No Gym Warrior program around. It's a complete 12-week bodyweight training system based on historical warrior methods. Spartans, Vikings, Roman soldiers, structured so that anyone can follow it with zero equipment. If you want the full program and a week-by-week plan instead of piecing it together yourself, the link is in the description. Now, back to the video. The final exercise targets the most neglected muscle group in most training programs, and it directly determines how athletic, powerful, and injury-resistant you are. Your hamstrings, glutes, and posterior chain are responsible for everything. sprinting power, hip stability, posture, lower back health. And the single leg Romanian deadlift trains them through a hip hinge with an emphasis on the lengthened position under load, exactly where science shows maximum muscle growth occurs. Here's what makes the single leg variation genuinely superior to the conventional deadlift. You're training each leg independently, which exposes and corrects the strength imbalances that accumulate silently in bilateral training. You're also forcing your glutes, core, and stabilizers to fire at maximum capacity just to keep you balanced, which means more total muscle recruitment with less weight. And because there's no axial loading on your spine, the joint stress that comes with heavy conventional deadlifts is completely eliminated. For equipment, you don't need a gym. Grab a dumbbell if you have one. If you don't, use whatever you have at home that has some weight to it. A filled backpack, a jug of water, a heavy bag. It works the same way. Stand on one foot, soft bend in the knee, weight in the opposite hand. Hinge at your hip, not your lower back, and let the weight travel down your standing leg as your trailing leg lifts behind you as a counterbalance. Feel your hamstring stretch fully under tension. Once that stretch peaks, drive your hip forward to stand back up, squeezing your glute hard at the top. Control is everything here. 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 10 reps per leg, with a 4-second lowering phase on every rep. If balance is a challenge at first, lightly touch a wall with your free hand, but work toward doing it unassisted. That instability is part of what makes this exercise so effective. 6 exercises. Pull-ups and inverted rows to build a back that's genuinely thick and functional. Feet elevated push-ups and dips for a chest, shoulder, and tricep combination that outperforms most conventional pressing programs. Bulgarian split squats and single-leg Romanian deadlifts to build legs, and a posterior chain that carry over to every movement in your life. Train these 2 to 3 times per week. Add reps or resistance consistently over time. Don't chase weight before you've mastered the movement. The movement is the mechanism. Do this for 6 months and you'll build more real muscle than most people accumulate in years of gym training, while keeping the joints that make all of it sustainable. No gimmicks, no grinding your body down for marginal returns, just 6 movements that actually work. Start where you are, build from there. The progress will take care of itself.